The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Bringing you the real story. Why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
Georgia, Tennessee, dominance in Knoxville?
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs.
3:30, we will be seeing what Neyland has to offer. How loud can you get? It better be earth-shattering. Just a little preview here, because we got some feels on this game. We're going to start there, get into
What if it were to rain, Clint? Let me ask you that. What if it were to rain?
And what
Saturday?
if the grass was not to the standard length that Tennessee fans, if you added rain and grass length into a conversation, Tennessee has been stopped more by grass than it has by any legal code ever produced in the United States before in the history of Vols fans. There are two big enemies, grass length and the Constitution, that are against Tennessee in so many ways.
Yes. Nothing inaccurate been said so far, so let's try to keep the streak alive. Let's get into this Georgia-Tennessee game. It's Friday. It's a little later in the week than we normally do this, but we're giving out official picks, official predictions of what's going to happen. If you recall earlier in the week, we were both a bit pessimistic, a bit skeptical.
It was a little bit bubble guts, if you will, Daniel.
Hey, listen, I've still got them. I just want you to know that the bubble guts are still there.
Yeah,
they're
real.
Still real.
Yeah.
But I did a little bit of digging. Okay.
No, we went minor hat on this. We went UTEP. Okay.
Full disclosure, it did not take a lot of research. Here's what my research immediately gleaned to me. Are you ready, Clint?
I am.
Syracuse is really bad. Okay. That is point one.
Have you ever seen a college football program do gassers after a home game because the coach was so mad of your performance?
Syracuse is not a good football team, and the reason that comes into play is because lo and behold, Tennessee, they scored 70-plus points against East Tennessee State last week. I don't know if you know that, but the dregs of the FCS.
I was told.
The week one matchup was against Syracuse. Syracuse went on in week two to play a home game against the mighty UConn Huskies. Dan Hurley came out and coached the UConn Huskies against the Jim Boeheim and the Syracuse.
We know that's not the coaching staff. We get it.
The mighty UConn Huskies, not basketball team, but football team, played against Syracuse. Syracuse put up the same number of points against UConn at home as they did against Tennessee on a neutral site.
It's true.
They rushed for almost 3 times as many yards against Tennessee as they did against UConn at home. Tennessee's run defense, Clint, is outside the top 100 in success rate in the NCAA.
Now, really quick, this is important because I was told that actually Tennessee's defense looks more like Georgia's defense than Georgia's defense currently does.
You've been listening to a bunch of dumb idiots then.
Yeah,
because
it's the national media, so yes.
That is correct. Tennessee run defense outside the top 100 in success rate in the NCAA. Oh, by the way, both their starting corners are still out.
No, they're not.
Now, the 2 corners that have been playing the first 2 weeks of the season have looked fine against Syracuse and East Tennessee State. And
it's likely because Syracuse kept all their top talent on offense in-house and they didn't transfer out, Daniel.
Again, my research yielded one major finding, and that was Syracuse, probably the worst Power 5 team in the FBS at this moment. Really bad football team. So, Tennessee, I think, has got some vulnerabilities on the defensive side in particular. Now, you look at the offense, Joey Aguilar's looked good, but you look at the way that he's looked good. They're not throwing the ball downfield. A lot of talk about Gunnar Stockton not being able to throw the ball downfield. Joey Aguilar also not throwing the ball downfield. It's a lot of screens. It's a lot of slants. It's a lot of RPO stuff. You're not getting these typical Josh Heupel super wide splits.
No.
Run, deep ball, deep ball. That's the Josh Heupel offense, typically. You're not getting that. You're getting a lot more short stuff. You're getting a lot more intermediate stuff, and you're not getting the deep balls necessarily. I just don't have any questions about this Georgia defense.
No,
I don't have any questions whatsoever. But the more I research the Tennessee defense, the more I think that Nate Frazier and Chauncey Barnes and Nate Phillips are going to be able to do some things, Clint. They're going to churn out those yards, and I do think there will be opportunities on the outside for guys like Colby Young and Zachariah Branch to have their way as well. Josh Heupel ain't never scored more than 17 points against Kirby Smart.
Nope.
And it ain't going to start on Saturday, y'all.
Nope.
So give me Georgia.
Come on, there he is.
Georgia fairly large on Saturday. I've come all the way around, Clint.
He just spectrumed that thing all the way over. My man has come over to the light. Look, here's the deal. To me, this game is simple. And again, I don't mean sometimes in life you take little snippets of headlines like the national media has done. Georgia hasn't looked good. Although, again, Kirby deliberately said, I want to know if I can impose a run game on anybody anytime.
15 against the spread.
I don't know.
Favorite of 38 or more.
How many more times can I tell you this? When people bring up Kirby, you can't even beat a lowly team like that and cover the spread. Of course he can't. He doesn't want to. He doesn't care about it. He's not interested in it. What he's interested in is perfecting. He has 12 to 15 goals that he wants to do every single time. What he cares about is perfecting those. And perfecting last week was, can I get a power run game going? Can whoever I have at guard, I don't know, Juan Gaston, sure, Glover, sure, Michael White, who is going to be in there and can get downhill in a hurry? And oh, by the way, which running back, because it's all about practice, will get the rock the most is the guy who's doing it the best in practice. I've seen enough about this team. I know who they are. I know who we are on defense, and I know who we are on offense. And the question marks I have, passing game downfield, sure, I have question marks about that. You're not going to beat. My point is not that Gunnar Stockton is him. My point is we don't know yet. That's my point. Okay. I do know we can run the ball, and I know we can control their run game. And if you make Josh Heupel one-dimensional, Daniel, it goes really bad for him because Daniel Harris, Dalen Everett, Ellis Robinson, KJ Bolden, 4 dudes. Do you have more? Add CJ Allen in the scene of the Titan. Do you have more than 4 dudes that are better than our 4 dudes? You don't. And then you got Joey Aguilar, who he led the college football in touchdown passes last year. If memory serves. Oh no, my research says interceptions. Guys, the defense is going to feast. It's going to get lopsided. I'm still taking the under, but Daniel, give me this game. The closer I get to Saturday, we're scoring more than 25. They're not scoring more than 17.
No, they're not scoring more than 17. I got it somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 to 17. Like that's somewhere in that vicinity. And at no point in the second half will this game be within reach for Tennessee.
The NFL season is finally here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, same-game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
It's Roll Tide versus On Wisconsin. The quarterbacks could decide this matchup.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers.
Luke, I think we got to talk a little bit about quarterbacks in this game. Tell me about Ty Simpson. What does he look like for Bama, and how is he going to impact this game this weekend?
Well, I really like Ty Simpson, and there's some folks that sort of jumped ship after the Florida State game. I'm going to tell you, I don't think the Florida State game was his problem. I think the rest of the team, in a lot of aspects, let the team down. But here's the thing, and Ty Simpson was 17 of 17 in his last game. He had, I think, 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing. I mean, he's just he's very good. He was a 5-star coming out of Tennessee. His dad is a football coach. He's not a party animal. Like, he goes to bed at 9, wakes up at 5, always in the facility, all those things. But so far, he has been less dynamic and more game manager. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can win with that. Alabama's won national championships with that. The problem is you have to have a national championship winning defense or a Heisman Trophy winning running back like a Derrick Henry to make it work. Now, maybe if Ryan Williams steps his game back up to pre-Georgia standards from last year, then I think this team can make some moves, and maybe there will be some more dynamic plays, some more big plays. Right now, Alabama hadn't had a lot of them in 2 games. And I'm pro Ty Simpson. I don't want to get it twisted. At the same time, I look at Austin Mack and especially Keelan Russell, the true freshman, who I think has just got an absolutely super bright future. Gatorade National Player of the Year last year. And I go, okay, those guys probably can make more plays because we have a small sample size with Ty Simpson, and I haven't seen a lot of big plays yet. Maybe some of them happen this weekend, though.
Let me ask a follow-up on with Simpson. We'll get into Daniel Neal and the Badgers quarterback situation. The Badgers have been pretty good stopping the run this year. Is Ty Simpson a guy that if Wisconsin says you need to beat us, we're going to potentially take away the run, that's what we're going to try to do, can he be a guy that wins the game by himself against a good defense?
Yes, and the reason I think he can is because I don't think he's going to have a lot of mistakes. The thing about Ty is while he is not making a lot of big-time plays, he's not making any mistakes. He doesn't have a turnover yet this year. He doesn't have a fumble or an interception. And as I said, he was 17 of 17 in this last game. That's tough to do against anybody. I don't care who you are. So I think he's the kind of guy that's not going to get you beat, but he might be the guy that doesn't necessarily get you the win either. I mean, I don't know that he could have a Bryce Young moment. Maybe he can. I just haven't seen that capability yet. I think that if Wisconsin is going to sell out to stop the run, I think it's going to be a problem for Wisconsin because I believe that our receivers are better than our running backs.
Interesting point. So the Wisconsin Badgers coming into this weekend. I know Bama fans remember last year, Alabama came up to Madison. And by the way, I had a ton of Wisconsin fans just reach out to me and tell me how much fun it was interacting with Bama fans that came up. I think there was some really good interactions there. Bama fans.
I think they all interacted with me. I was the one that was there.
They liked it. I think it was a really good time between the fan bases up until the point y'all beat us by 32. Then it got a little salty.
I need to show you a picture I got. I was in the stadium, of course, and it was fun. And jump around wasn't as much fun as I wanted it to be because it was a butt kicking at that time, and so a lot of people had left. And also, 11 o'clock in the morning game, I can't believe we got another one. I mean, just come on. But I took a screenshot of a kid that was sitting next to me, and he was texting a friend, and he just texted, "Oh my God, Bama's really good," and like it was just kind of funny. But I had a blast up there. Look, I can't say enough good things about it. I went with a group that I go to a away game every single year. This year we're going to Missouri. We've been to Penn State. We've been to LSU and Tennessee and all these Georgia. And last year we went to Wisconsin and had a great time. And it was just a fun. I wish that we had more of those types of games. But I hope that a lot of Wisconsin people are planning to come down here. I think you will find that while Wisconsin is super fun, I'm not trying to take anything away from that. It's more religion down here. And I don't mean that to say, it means more to us, but it kind of might mean more to us. I don't know. It's just the SEC is a different animal in that regard. It's all palpable. It's all in the air. And so I think everybody will come down and have a really good time and go, whoa, that we need more of that. And I'm hoping it's contagious and spreads throughout the country.
I love it. I agree with you. These out of conference matchups, the home and homes, like the neutral site stuff is fine, but the home and homes where you get to go and you get to see the environment and the ecosystem of these incredible places. I would have loved to come down to Bryant-Denny this weekend. I just couldn't make it, but it saddens me that I can't, because I would love to see a game in that environment and that atmosphere. So,
well, and the guys that come are going to be extremely fortunate, because even though it's going to be the middle of September, usually about this time it's still in the 90s, humidity's going nuts, and it's going to be very, very nice Saturday apparently. So I mean, like in the low 80s, just perfect. And you guys won't understand what we're talking about. Like in the summer, it is just like mosquitoes don't even want to be around here. But it's going to be very nice, which is very unseasonable and very lucky for all of us.
So I'll tell you, I know exactly where that is and what that's like, because for a couple of years I was stationed in Georgia. I was stationed in southern Georgia. So summers there can be different, to your point.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the Badgers backup quarterback. And I'm curious, after I tell you what he's like, who he is, I'm curious how Bama's defense might defend him. I think it's an interesting conversation. So the Badgers, once again, down their starting quarterback. Daniel O'Neal will be the guy. He's kind of an interesting player. Started all of last year for San Diego State. Pretty mobile, total gamer. He reminds me a little bit of some of the Iowa State type quarterbacks. I've mentioned that, like a Brock Purdy type, where he's more mobile than he looks. He extends plays. He can move with his feet. He will test a defense a little bit in terms of he's not a statue in the pocket. Pretty accurate, but not a great arm. So when you hear something like that, I'm curious, because that is kind of the archetype of a quarterback that's given Bama some issues in the past. The mobile quarterbacks, the guys who can get out of the pocket a little bit, can move. How is Bama's defense set up this year? Is that something that you think could be a challenge for Alabama?
I think Bama's defense right now is under the gun, in the sense that they played really well and got a shutout last week. But the week before against Florida State, they just fell for every trick in the book. It seemed like, Gus Malzahn, a lot of reverses and fake reverses and double whoopies and all this other stuff. And it seemed like Alabama fell for a lot of the misdirection, the eye candy, as Nick Saban used to call it. And so I know Wisconsin is sort of into that too. So that worries me to a degree. But I was reading a report about one of maybe Wisconsin's fastest wide receiver, and at the same time the Wisconsin beat writer was like, yeah, he's our fastest, but Alabama's probably got 10 guys on defense that are just as fast as he is. And that may be true. And so I think the speed of Alabama may make up for some of the lack of discipline they have on some of these misdirection plays. So I'm hoping that's the case. But I really believe in Luke Fickell. I think he's a good coach. Now, one thing I do want to address, and Jimmy Stein, my co-host on Locked on Bama, and I talk about this all the time. You mentioned that Alabama has historically had a problem with mobile quarterbacks. Yes and no. Yes, as long as that mobile quarterback is a Heisman Trophy candidate or plays particularly out of his mind in that game, just because it's a big moment. Because everybody goes, mobile quarterbacks. Yeah, mobile quarterbacks, you mean like Johnny Manziel and Cam Newton and Tim Tebow. Yeah, those guys gave us fits. Guess what? They gave everybody fits. And guess what? They all won Heismans. So Deshaun Watson, an incredible, notwithstanding what's happened in Cleveland or Houston, but he was incredible in college, absolutely unstoppable at times. So, yeah, those guys have given Alabama fits. Nick Marshall at Auburn, he was a fantastic mobile quarterback, and he was so fast that it made up for any deficiencies he had in throwing the football on occasion. So, yeah, those guys have given Alabama problems. But this guy, Danny O'Neal, I like him. I do. I think that if I'm not mistaken, he's like one of 2 true freshmen to start last year in the country. Not bad, big deal. And, he's also got some experience under his belt in, I'm going to say, the Big Ten, even though they haven't played a Big Ten team. He has played in Big Ten environments at home. This is going to be a different environment. My guess is this will be the most people he's ever played in front of. And the crowd should be pretty ravenous. Alabama fans were kind of ticked off last week. And then when the team responded and played so well, I think we're back to like, all right, let's all get behind this thing. It's just one loss. Let's just move forward. So I think the crowd ought to be pretty well into it.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k or properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I linked all my accounts to Monarch and immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't even using. Canceling those all can save you money every month. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL.
Did Notre Dame just give the Texas A&M Aggies bulletin board material for their showdown this weekend?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies.
DJ, it appears that Notre Dame's wide receiver, Jaden Greathouse, may have given the Aggies a little bit of bulletin board material heading into their matchup this weekend in South Bend. We're going to talk about that. We're going to give our bold predictions for the game this weekend, and then go through some prop bets like we do every week and see where we have these players finishing on passing yards, touchdowns, rushing yards, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get into the bulletin board material. Jaden Greathouse, an Austin native, Texas native, almost went to the University of Texas at one point, decided on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, was a major player in their college football playoff run last year, particularly in the last two games. He had, I believe, like 11 or 12 receptions over that 2-game stretch for, nearly 300 yards and a couple touchdowns. He was held without a catch in week 1, which was very surprising to a lot of people because some believe him to be their number one receiver. Now, Mr. Greathouse has come out and said some pretty, inflammatory things about the Aggie secondary. It's not crazy. It's not like he's calling them trash or he's saying this or he's saying that, but he did give him a little jab. And we're going to read you the quote right here. Notre Dame wide receiver Jaden Greathouse talking about the Aggies secondary. They have a lot of good athletes in their secondary. They like to get handsy a lot, that type of deal, but it shouldn't be anything that we can't handle. Is that really something you want to say before being on the national stage against a team that a lot of people are now starting to believe could pull off an upset, DJ?
No, not at all. Not at all. Last year I looked it up because I was like, there's no way this kid's talking. Because last year he didn't do anything against the Aggies. He had 26 yards, and it was just like, really? Like you didn't do anything last year. They clearly gave you issues. So now this year, with a group that's arguably better than the one that was last year, you're going to talk crap about it? I don't know. I can't get behind it, but A&M secondary usually likes to. We saw what happened with the whole blanket situation with Willie and Missouri and how that went for Missouri. So we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, that's a good shout out because that was a big part of what Texas A&M had for motivation against Missouri last year. They completely shut down that passing game. They completely shut down almost every aspect of the Missouri offense after those comments. Brady Cook also last year had said something to the effect of, the crowd in College Station isn't going to be that intimidating, blah, 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 blah. This is a Texas A&M secondary, and I'll get back into Greathouse in a minute. But this is a Texas A&M secondary that last week, and I know it's Utah State, but last week against Utah State, they gave up 172 yards through the air. And then in week 1 against UTSA, which, again, I know is UTSA, but they have a very talented quarterback in Owen McCowan. McCowan threw for 121 yards in that game. So the Aggies have given up around 290 yards through the first couple of games through the air. as far as where that ranks in the country, it's a little early to really put a statement on that, because a lot of teams have only played a couple. Every team has pretty much only played a couple games. There are a lot of teams that have faced primarily rushing teams, but the Aggies are, and I'm pulling up these stats now as we speak. They give up 171 yards through the air, and they have given up 4 passing touchdowns through the first 2 games, which isn't terrible. They only give up 5.3 yards per reception, which is a key stat there, because that means they get on you early. They don't let you go. So I feel like they're going to be pretty well equipped to handle this admittedly talented wide receiver core from Notre Dame with Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse and some of these other guys. The tight end is really good. But Jaden Greathouse, 4-star recruit in the 2023 class, was the number 44 receiver in the country coming out of Austin Westlake. 6'2", 220 pounds, big guy, athletic guy. He has not recorded a stat this year in their first game against Miami. In 2024, he finished the season with I'm pulling this up now as well. He finished the season with 42 catches for 592 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pretty solid numbers there. The problem is that 13 of those receptions were 233 yards. So the vast majority of his yardage stats came in the college football play. It's a big stage. Don't get me wrong. It's a big stage. But just in my opinion, perhaps, maybe you don't want to poke the bear. Maybe you don't want to talk too much when you have not exactly had the most consistent career, in the world there at Notre Dame. I'm sure Marcus Freeman was like, man, why'd you say that? I'm sure CJ Carr is like, man, now they're really going to come after me in the pass rush. But it's certainly it's a bold strategy, Cotton. See if it pays off more, right?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where some of the guys like Jeremiah Love are going to be looking at him like, I don't know why you said that, man. Now they're going to be ticked off when they get here. But if it was coming from someone else, I get it, but not him.
Yeah, and then you look at what the Aggies have in the secondary, just real quick, and we know what to expect out of Will Lee. He's one of the best corners in the SEC. There's this other guy also. His name is Des Ricks, and he currently has the most snaps played in college football without allowing a catch. 54 straight snaps for Des Ricks without allowing a single reception. That's a lot of snaps without allowing a catch, and it's and the guy throwing out the challenge doesn't have a catch yet this year. So we'll see. Maybe they match up Des Ricks on Jaden Greathouse. I feel like that would be a really fun matchup to watch regardless. But certainly an interesting choice there from Jaden Greathouse. We'll see how that turns out for him. I expect the Aggies will be a tad motivated, especially in the secondary when it comes to that.